Live from the Injured on the Go Just Call Moe studio.
It's a blast!
It's Orlando's own Tom and Dan.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time. Our lawyer, Moe DeWitt's here. How you doing, Mo?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
Injured on the Go, just call Mo. So, Mo, let's get right to it because we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Recently, this band Turnstile came into Central Florida Fairgrounds.
Yeah, you like the Turnstile?
It's there's a couple songs that are really good. My Dre and Leanne went there. Some of my friends from Miami, and then it's a younger audience, a hardcore band.
Yeah, they're good, man. Turnstile's blowing up.
So, Mo, I'll give you a little background. So this band basically, as they became more and more popular, would put on free shows.
There's a little Turnstile.
In like big city parks, and then get like a ridiculous amount of people, and this show would be essentially amateur in the fact that it was just them on stage playing to this huge number of people. They didn't have any security, and like the audience would get on stage, jump off, and like that was, and they'd use that for social media marketing, which grew. Like, it was a brilliant way to market yourself. And
you can kind of see it here on the screen. See the kids launching themselves into the crowd there?
Yeah, that looks safe.
Yeah. So part of like Turnstile's whole thing was that they just let this happen. And normal people have security to not let people on stage. And then this is like anything goes. And it's part of, and they're running through the band and like jumping off. And and it's all their audiences. They love it. And they knew it was going to happen. It's
part of their branding, really. It's kind of part of their hardcore. What would you even call it? New hardcore? Post-hardcore? No, it's not post. I don't know.
So now they're touring and making big bucks. Obviously, they're filling up the fairgrounds and like doing these huge venues.
They're a big rock band now. I don't think people thought they were going to be this big. They're a big rock band.
They're making millions, and their tour is a multi-million-dollar tour. It's big.
The light show's beautiful.
And so they are still doing this where they're letting their audience get on stage with and then just jump off randomly, and then like in crowd surf, and like it just happens throughout the whole show.
It is, I would say, and I was explaining this to Tom, it's different than when I was a kid and you were moshing. It was like people would get hurt, it seemed like, but this seems more like they are just launching themselves into the crowd and that they're policing themselves. It's almost like the culture, that style of punk rock, hardcore, new culture is like we police ourselves,
and it's a be cool, bro. And obviously, and if you're listening to this, you may be thinking like, oh, this has been going on forever. Tom, you're an idiot. But in the past,
Bustecker just raised his hand. He says you're an idiot.
And then the band can say like, hey, we have security here. We try to stop people from getting on stage. Sometimes they get on stage and jump off. We cannot avoid that, right?
Right.
But in this scenario, they do not have security. They're free. Letting their audience...
Right, they're actually taking a step further. They're encouraging them to come on stage and jump off. So, in most situations, even like the mosh pit situation, there's an argument that could be made there. If someone was injured in the mosh pit, that, they still tried to have proper security to control it. It was somewhat of a controlled environment, that the band wasn't condoning it, the venue wasn't necessarily condoning it. It's an argument. I'm not saying it's a good one, but it's an argument. When you're inviting people on the stage to jump off, it's really only a matter of time that somebody's going to get injured. Now, I don't know if they're having these people sign waivers, if they're signing waivers as part of coming into the venue, but it's very risky for them at this point if they're not doing it properly.
So,
injured in the pit, call DeWitt. That's from Reiki. I got to give him credit. That's from Reiki. Thank you, chat room. That's funny.
Because, and I got a pushback last time I was talking about this because I was joking around. Like, I could be the lawyer. I could figure out what Mo would say, which I do think, by the way.
You also be a dentist, an airline pilot, professional gambler.
Yeah. Is there any job that you don't think you could do? We've never gone that direction, right?
Professional reader. Like when I saw George Bush reading that child's book to the classroom, I got scared. I was like, that's the reason I can't be president. I was like, that was the only all the other
you can't read to kindergartners.
I was like, as a kid, I thought to myself, I was like, that's the reason. That's what will stop me from becoming president. All the other stuff, I was like, I can do that.
You're kind of Dan Quayle, right? Put an E on the end of potato.
Oh, when I saw that, I was like, I'm really done.
You're like, that's my guy. He put an E on the end of potato.
Yeah. Then Trump got my hopes up. I was like, oh, I'm back. I'm back. Anyway,
back, baby.
So back to this argument. So people pushed back and said, hey, when you go to a Turnstile concert, this is going to happen. So you're buying into, like, if you know it's going to happen, how can you sue if, you're a willing participant?
Well, I mean, you can be a willing participant, but you can also assume that there's proper safety measures set up. There's proper security set up. So, you see other people doing it. They do it fine. They seem safe. And then you go to do it and something goes wrong because it's really not set up properly.
So I'm thinking of the audience members, and this is where I think the lawsuit's going to happen, and this is going to stop. Is there's going to be eventually, with enough of these happening, there's going to be a person in the audience, and they know what's happening. They're like, oh, I'm ready to catch people. Then they're going to be like, oh, my phone. They're going to look down, and all of a sudden someone's going to jump off stage and then land on their head.
Right, and paralyze them or give them a traumatic brain injury or something like that.
Or
it's a good thing they're holding their phone.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they get distracted. Someone lands on your neck, and then all of a sudden, now you have hospital bills. Your neck's not right. You're out of work. And then you got all these medical bills piling up, and then it's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and
all
then you can't work.
You looked at your phone. He's making an argument for not bringing your phone to concert.
And then it's like, well, someone jumped off stage, landed on my neck, and they were encouraging this. Like, that's opening themselves up to a lawsuit.
No, absolutely. Then you're just an innocent bystander. You weren't even participating in the activity, and now you got injured from it. So I think you're right. You're probably going to see this stuff. Kind of off topic, but somebody posted a video the other day that I saw of a rotating dance floor that used to be at City Walk.
Yep.
And I was thinking, there's no way that would go over today. Like, people would be injured on that left and right. So I think it's just a matter of time. Enough people get injured in this, and then they're going to stop doing it. The insurance carriers, their attorneys are going to get involved and say, we got to shut this down.
Yeah.
And they're, maybe they can do something similar to it that's, a little safer with proper security and safety measures and waivers, but, doing it the way they've historically done it, I don't see going on for much longer.
Yep. All right.
My neck's been hurting me since I went on Stardust Racers. Can you help me with that, Mo?
Or you hit by a duck.
Okay.
No.
Oh, that's a story.
You're queuing up the greatest hits today, buddy. Oh, man.
So let's talk about it.
I shouldn't have laughed at that when I read the headline either, but there's something funny.
It's about getting hit by a bird.
Okay, but also, if you're going to get hit by a bird, one of the funniest birds I think you can get hit by is duck. One of the funniest birds.
Yes.
Ducks are funny.
Yes. And
Donald Duck, right?
Oh, yeah.
Daffy Duck. It's a funny bird. Funny fowl.
We spent a generation trying to shoot that stupid duck hunt duck with our gun. Every time it's laughing that we missed.
The dog.
It was a dog that was laughing.
Ducks can't laugh, you idiot.
My mind was I was mad at the duck. You're right. The dog was laughing at me.
Like this.
I was shooting the dog. Oh my God! I'm Shatterberg. Still
sometimes
works.
That happens.
Still works.
Sometimes that happens.
Take that.
Hold, I'll fix it. John 3:16. All right, we're good.
All right, so back to the duck. So a lady gets hit in the face with a duck on a roller coaster.
See, it's funny.
It is funny.
It's funny.
Ever since
not if you're the duck, though.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not funny for the duck.
Fabio got hit too.
Yeah, by Goose.
Yeah. Ever since Fabio, I'm like, I'm glad we live in the multiverse that Fabio got hit by a bird in the face and broke his nose.
I love that was
funny
like
is
a
that?
media day, too, and they had all the cameras there, and they pulled back in with a bloody face.
Anyway, so
Also, that guy's a hunk, right?
what, Fabio?
Yeah, he's a piece of meat. He's a good-looking man.
So, does this lady that got hit by the bird have any recourse?
The duck.
I mean, their argument they're basically making is that the roller coaster was near water. They should have known that ducks or birds could fly in front of the coaster. I personally think it's a tough argument, just because, I mean, how do you prevent it? For negligence, it's that you didn't take some sort of due care to prevent an injury to your patron. And so the only way to really fully prevent this is put the roller coaster indoors or put it entirely under a net, which I don't know is reasonable. Now, the one thing that they may have that I could see working here is that SeaWorld didn't warn. So there was a failure to warn. They didn't put up a sign saying, hey, you may possibly be hit by a duck in the face. And so that may be the only...
That's a song by Stitches.
That's bad for business. I mean, that happens 1 in 10 million. I'm not putting up a sign for 1 in 10 million.
Right. I mean, and so, I think that may be their only kind of avenue to proceed forward here. I think it's a stretch of the case. I don't know, how badly this person was injured, but I think in general, if you live in Florida, you know that there's birds and ducks everywhere. There's water everywhere. They were trying to argue because the roller coaster went over water. They should know there's going to be ducks there, but I don't know if that's really reasonable either.
Did you hear about the duck who went into the pharmacy to buy some condoms?
Come on.
And he
Not for the
says,
Mo.
and he goes, hey, give me 1 pack of Trojans. And the pharmacist says, all right, that'll be $7.50. And the duck says, Just put it on my bill.
Why is the product Trojan condoms?
Once a day. Because you
It could've
can't.
been anything.
No, you put the condom on his bill.
Oh,
You goddamn idiot. You know what, Melissa? Make a video of how dumb this guy is. I do
on
one
the
joke.
top and bottom.
I do one. No, you stretch it out. You put it on his bill.
Okay, well you can open the.
I
anyway.
do one joke for my dead father in heaven, and this is what happened.
So, the likelihood, and isn't there something of like act of God? Isn't that, which I hate that that's in the law.
Me
by the
too.
way.
'Cause I'm like, but only if I
I'm
need
like-
it. If I need it, then I'm good. You know what I mean?
I mean, there is an element of foreseeability. Was this foreseeable to SeaWorld, and did they take reasonable precautions? Again, reasonable to prevent something like this from happening. So, if they had some fishing line up, if they had things in the area to kind of keep general wildlife out, if it's never happened before, it may not be foreseeable. They may have taken reasonable precautions. So ultimately, the lawsuit could be dismissed. It'll probably settle out.
I got a brilliant business idea. Write this down.
I
Dino.
think I know where. I know where you're
and
going.
Mo,
Hold on, let me write it down because I don't.
I need
wanna
a
ruin-
financial backer
on.
too. Because
Are we throwing ducks at people on roller
No,
coasters?
no, no.
Oh, close. That's
Okay.
what I wrote down.
All
Actually,
right.
man, me and Mo are on the same
So
wavelength.
there's a job where you go to the airport with a falcon. You're a falconeer, and then you scare birds away from airports.
I think it's a falconer.
What is
A
it?
falconeer. A falconeer is a musketeer that has a falcon. A falconer is a falcon.
Like a wagoneer
Yeah,
with a falcon on top.
falconeer.
You get the point. The
A
point is
falconer drives a falconer.
Yes.
that I'll start a business
Yeah,
where
Tom's falconer.
I get some falconeers to go to all these
Falconers.
theme parks, and they won't even know what it all because it's never gonna happen again, right? So but I'll get some falcons. And
How many falcons?
And
do you
then
need?
EJ, I'll hire EJ and a bunch of other of
he's
our
too fat
team.
for falcons.
they don't even need.
Can't do it. Can't do it.
They just gotta hold it with the leather glove, and then it scares
No,
away
they
the
have to trust you,
birds.
dude. They have to trust you.
Huh?
I've watched documentaries on that.
That
When
will
you,
tie it down.
No, you put that little hood on it. If you don't have that hood on it, that thing will go bite crazy.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
got to
put
have
the
the
hood.
and it's less of a hood and more like a medieval Chinese brass helmet that this war animal wears. This thing is a war beast. You put an ancient
put a-
Chinese brass bell in its head, and if you take that thing off, that thing's ready to. It's ready to kill.
You know what? It won't even be a real bird. We'll put a whole pillowcase. It'll
Dress
be a
me as
fake
a falcon.
bird.
Dress me as a
Whatever.
falcon, fat falcon.
And then we'll say, hey, we're scaring away all the birds so that you don't have any of the lawsuits in the future. That's a good idea, right, Mo?
Sure.
All right.
I stayed at a hotel one
Yeah.
time that had a falconeer that would come out in the morning and eat all the little. There's like little birds.
I
that
think
they
they're
eat.
falconers. And now he's got you
Yeah,
saying
he's
it.
saying
Now
wrong.
he's got you saying it. My God.
All right. Okay.
Too
so,
fat for falcon guy.
So Mo, let's end with this story because this is the reason why people vote against their own rights and then end up having to where you're like, what I can't sue for over 1 million now, and it's like you voted on it. So a story came out of Winter Garden where a lady sued Target in Winter Garden and won $11.7 million.
Yep.
And the headline, when people see that headline, it legitimately, I think, gets people mad. And they immediately think, well, that lady doesn't deserve $11 million. Because then they read the story, and then it's like she tripped on a uneven parking area space in their parking lot and shattered her leg. But even when you read that, I think the general audience hears and they're like, shattered your leg, you got 11 million. Like, I'll do that for 11 million. Like,
You say that, but yeah.
you know, but that's how the people think. And then they're like, oh, this is a scam. This lady doesn't deserve it. And then next thing you know, when big insurance companies and Target, which $11 million is nothing to Target, by the way, but they get people that are like, well, we'll make it so that we'll put a cap on how much Target can get sued now. And the people are like, I'll vote for that. You're like, no, you're
Right.
voting against your own rights.
Right.
What? And just what? Save this giant billion-dollar corporation some money?
Yeah, why does that happen?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's generally the problem that I have with the billboards around town that put the numbers up and these kind of stories with the headlines is, we don't really know what happened to this lady. I mean, first of all, if you shattered your leg and had surgery, your medical bills alone are probably $500,000. So, pre-suit, they offered $250,000, or excuse me, prior to trial, they offered $250,000 in this case. They ended up with an $11 million verdict. But that $250,000, if her medical bills, and again, I don't know for a fact, but if her medical bills are $300,000 or $500,000, that basically leaves her with nothing, most likely.
Yeah.
So they really had no choice but to go to trial. And of course, her attorneys, I'm sure, made arguments that she's going to be in pain for the rest of her life. She was probably a likable individual who was probably a productive member of society. and this is dramatically.
She was okay. She's
you
fine.
liked her, but
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the things. Think about if you couldn't run anymore, couldn't walk anymore, couldn't ride bikes anymore, couldn't play golf or whatever you love doing. Being a falconer,
Yeah.
anything like
If
that.
it affected your whole life,
Right. So I mean, we're not getting the whole story here. We're getting a headline. We're getting a clip that really doesn't explain what happened to this individual.
And people do forget, like, a jury of your peers decided this.
Right.
So it's like,
Right.
like there's 12.
It's different per jury, right? Like,
Yeah, it's usually like 6 people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
6. Well, what the hell?
14, 22.
Anyway,
yeah.
but
You've been getting a lot of wrong this week, man.
so like they decided this, and it's like it's not some like buffoon just like give her 12 million for nothing. Like it's
Right.
like
I would like it if the judge was like, "Let's go to the buffoon." And they just point to some dumb guy and he goes, "I don't know."
But we don't know the whole story, and a bunch of people decided that this lady deserved
Here's
this.
what
and
I
it's
do
like,
know. Here's what I do know from riding the Peloton every morning and seeing the commercials with the checks with the numbers. Every single one of these people look really sad behind their eyes, and there's something sinister.
Just dead-on eyes.
No, I mean they're affected. Like it's not. They're having to recover. You see what I'm saying? Like it is.
But then then you get the general, like, then you get emotional jealousy, or like, I want this money, and then you get mad at the person like that. I deserve.
No,
this.
you want your health. Use
No, I know.
use your mind and use facts, and you want your health. You do not want to be run over by a truck for $11 million. You don't.
No, I mean, one thing I've told everybody is, for anyone who got that amount of money, if you gave them the option today of going through what they went through before or getting the money again, they would rather be put back in the situation prior to them getting that money or getting that injury, because their life is never the same. When you're getting that level of money, your life is never the same. And here, I mean, we don't know what her medical bills are. We don't know what her future medical bills are. She may need additional surgeries in the future. She may be, I mean, think about it. What if she's confined to a wheelchair or a motorized scooter for the rest of her life?
Yeah.
I mean, what's that worth? Are you going to live your life like that? She was 44 years old, I believe. So if you're going to be in a wheelchair and not be able to walk for the rest of your life, what's that worth to you?
Of course, yeah. And people just see the headline and they
Right.
just see the money, and then they immediately jump to some conclusion in their head. It's
I think it's meant to do that, right?
There's a whole
I mean,
system that
it's
happens
by design.
Guess what? Target's lawyers were arguing against this. You know what I'm saying? Really high-priced lawyers were making a good point in this case. Like, people that also don't realize, like, what do you think? This corporation's lawyers and the insurance company lawyers, they're good. So they made a compelling enough argument to a jury that they awarded this lady $11 million. It's probably justified, but we don't look at it that way as a society. And I think
I mean, it's easier to say, oh, $11 million, that's a ton of money. But like I said, if you can't walk for the rest of your life, I mean, would you trade $11 million to be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life? I don't think most people would.
No.
Yeah. See, that's,
I'd have to see what it feels like. Can I try it for 2 weeks? I'm
someone
going to try it for 2 weeks to see how, like, because I might get there and be like, not bad.
It's not bad,
a long time ago, Mo, someone was going to give me
Don't talk
$4
about
million
it. Oh,
to
God.
cut my leg off, and I'm not joking.
Do you remember that?
I got.
Okay.
Well, Mo knows. Mo's
Yeah,
an old school
yeah, yeah.
listener. He
Hold
knows all the buffoonery that went on.
Yeah.
And one time I jumped grave
Yeah,
digger.
he's one of us. He's one of. I forget that Mo's one of us.
One of us.
Tom
Anyway.
never chance, by the way. Do you know how lucky you are? Do you know you're one of one, dude?
This is history right
You
here.
are one. It is. This is a one of one scenario.
But I $4 million to cut my leg off, and we were debating it on the show.
You know, I thought you were going to do it, and I got really concerned.
I got dozens of emails offering. They're like, "I'll cut my leg off if you just give me $1 million, and you can take the rest."
I read these. They're
And-
so sad.
And people are struggling, and then when they hear that, and they're not even thinking about like long term, they're just like, I need the $1 million. It's worth cutting my leg off. That's how, and it's sad almost. It's like that's how people's mentality. Now, if it actually came, I would call their bluff. I'd be like, if you're about to go into the operating room in Brazil or whatever the hell,
You're going to be there? I'm not going to be there.
You're gonna wuss out.
I will take my money, and then you go with whoever's doing the bet, and you go cut your leg off. I'm out of the equation now. I got my 10 mil.
No, I gotta be
Or
there
3 mil.
with the your spouse.
No, what are you
and
going to
she's
stand there and
crying.
hold the person's hand? No, I'm not. Dude, that, like, why would you do that?
Well, the evil millionaire wants it.
I didn't say that. You got to make yourself less available.
Yeah, he's filming it. Just turning it into a show.
And then they were going to
And
take
then
the
you
leg.
make more money off the show than you paid me.
And they were going to take the leg, and then they're going to formaldehyde it. and put it on his mantle, right?
Yeah.
Special
And,
individuals.
I thought about doing it too.
Do you know who's doing this bit now? Mr. Beast is doing the old leg bit now.
yeah, but he's
Everything's
Tamed
cyclical.
it down.
Everything's
Yeah.
cyclical.
Well, Mo, thanks so much
Thank
for
you,
coming
guys.
in. We appreciate
Oh,
it.
how's Chicken Parm going? Where have you been hitting lately?
It's good. Where did we go last? Don't remember. We went to some fancy place on Sand Lake that was really good.
Do you
but
have a running like list of all the how many parms have you tried?
I think we're close to. We've been doing it for like a year and a half now, so like 75, 80, something like that.
Wow,
Nice.
80
And-
parms?
Oh my
we're putting
God.
together a website, moeeatsparm.com.
Are you really?
Yeah, we are. We're working on it
I
right
hope
now.
you get more rich from that.
Yeah, I hope you have to quit law. You know?
That's a comedy.
I used to be a lawyer, now I'm just a fat guy who eats parm.
No.
Yeah, but your audience, your millions of
"Parm,
followers.
parm,
you know.
parm."
But then you're like, God,
But
I'm
you
in
hate
a,
it.
I'm in a
Yeah.
parm prison.
Yeah.
Just get sad at
It is
home.
a parm. You hate it. You're like selling all the merch. You're dressed like parm.
You're like,
you know?
and then behind the scenes, you're like, I can't eat one more goddamn bite of
And
this.
you're jumping Gravedigger dressed as parm. You're like,
Yeah. But you're so rich. So,
Yeah.
oh, you're driving.
And Tom's watching you, one leg. He's rich though. I don't know what happened.
Well, I spent it all
course.
immediately.
Yeah, on what? Chinese fentanyl.
Yep.
That's what he did.
Well, my leg hurts. Anyway, all
Just
right.
love your Corvette with flames down the side, so
See,
it's all worth
It
it.
all came around.
Um,
Do we need to bully Busdecker before we get out of here?
okay. Well, yeah, Busdecker. So what?
Do we need to talk about the
what's some
roast
other
or
event-
anything?
Okay.
Do we need to plug the roast or anything? It's sold out.
I think so. Yeah, it's sold out.
Okay,
we don't
yeah.
need to
So
plug it.
nothing. Hold on. Let me turn on this camera so
So-
we can see Bus. Hold on, Bus. Hold on 1 second, buddy.
Okay,
No, you're good, you're
Here's
good.
what you guys need to do: is you need to become a VIP at justcallmo.com. Get your card because Mo puts on a ton of events and let you guys know. He does dinners all the time. All these VIP members are getting dinners, free events, and
Free
stuff.
cruise. We're giving away a free cruise.
Free
on Mo.
cruise.
Yeah.
You got to be a Just Call Mo VIP member.
Yeah, and it's
No,
free.
it may be a Victory Casino cruise, but we're not telling people that. No, it's
Well,
actual
free's
free
free.
cruise.
Hey, a cruise is a cruise, man. That's what I'm saying.
And you gotta pay the dock fees and the taxes. So it's like $380.
Maybe you could just take him on a cruise on your boat.
There we
Tom.
go.
We've done that. Do you know we've done this?
Really?
He's done cruises with listeners.
Yeah, they don't even want it.
3 times,
I
and you
wouldn't
know
want it.
2 of the people have died
Really?
No,
before
on
they
the
get,
boat?
No,
No.
before they
No.
get collected. It's almost like it's the curse of the monkey paw or something, right? It's like if
Maybe
you-
they just didn't want to go on a cruise with Tom, and they just.
in the monsters bidding for bowling or whatever, he
Yeah.
bid on one. The guy died before he could collect, and then one of our listeners died before they could collect.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's.
You also
it
take a
makes you
long
feel
time before
bad
you can collect.
when you're like, hey, come out
waiting
of
them
my
out.
boat, and then I'm constantly bugging them, like, hey, when are you gonna come out the boat?
Yeah, and then you get a text
They're
message
like,
from
"Ah,
the
God."
wife, and she's like,
He passed away.
you slowly put your phone
Are you
down.
just trying to get friends? Or is this your way to?
No,
Have
I'm
somebody to hang out
for
with?
charity, Busdecker.
All right.
Anyway, so what other events you got coming up?
Well, we got the beer fest, so we'll
Yes.
be there for that. We'll be there at the couch races.
Yeah, thank you to
Mhm.
Mo for sponsoring both events.
We got a Just Call Mo holiday party coming up. If you're a VIP member, you'll get an invite.
Oh, really? Well,
It's
what-
going to be at the Enzian Theater. We're going to show a movie, and Santa's going to be there.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to go to that
Yeah,
one.
you're
That's-
invited.
The
You're
Enzian,
invited.
I love the Enzian.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What
That's-
movie are you gonna show?
Elf.
Oh, Elf. I
Yeah.
didn't bring my sons to
Yeah.
that. But
Can
I-
they
kids
sit through
allowed.
an hour and a half, or are they going to be bored?
no,
We'll feed
they,
them some
They'll have their
alcohol.
pads. It'll be fine.
they'll be playing Roblox.
That's
Like,
fine, whatever.
If you give them that, they'll do anything.
Yeah.
They'll go anywhere.
By the way, are you going to employ birds to get rid of birds? Like, I feel like you're just going to have the hawks hitting people in their faces.
Falcons.
You're just introducing falcons.
They're,
Falcons.
they're
No, you-
tied to EJ's arm,
All
pecking
right.
crazy.
Okay. All right.
It was like, you know,
He's fine.
And
It
now that I
just
think
seems
about
like adding more birds to the equation.
Well, then
is
we
not
sell
a
them
good
Falcon
idea.
insurance in case something gets hit with a
Yes,
Falcon.
yes.
Oh, Falcon
They have
insurance.
talons. Like, if you get hit by one of those, your eyes are.
Oh,
Oh, look, we got
out.
Napoleon Dynamite over here.
Just telling you.
Give me some of those tots.
I can throw a football. I can throw a football over those mountains.
That's
talons.
his uncle. Anyway, so subscribe, become a Mo VIP.
Please.
Yes, sir.
It's free. JustCallMo.com. Mo, thanks so much for sponsoring our
Man,
events.
always a pleasure seeing you, buddy. Boss, always a pleasure seeing
Thank
you
you.
too.
Yep. And we will see you soon. Welcome to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. We are live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube, and we'd love it if you join us. Just head over there and search for @TomandDanLive. Like, subscribe, hit that alert button so when we post new videos, you are the first to see them.
All right, I'm excited about this because the Orlando Science Center is opening up a new exhibit on November 1st.
Okay.
This Saturday.
Yes, sir.
And it's called To the Extreme, and it's about skateboarding and the science behind skateboarding.
Yes, sir.
Jeff, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Hey.
And we've got the founder of Skatebud and nonprofit, Zach Modoff is here. How you doing, Zach?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Thanks for
Good.
being here, man.
So,
Thanks for having me.
Jeff, let's talk about the actual exhibit
Yes.
first. So tell us about To the Extreme.
To the Extreme is a really cool setup, and what it does is it talks about how math is involved in everything. And math is connected to things that we all think are really cool, like skateboarding and snowboarding and animation and music and robotics and space exploration.
Yeah.
So To the Exhibit is a series of simulators, activities, presentations, where you get to do all kinds of cool stuff, create music, design your own skateboard, snowboard down a mountain, predict the weather, operate robots on Mars. And at the end of that activity, it is showing you the math involved that makes that possible. So you walk away from it having an awesome time, getting to do all this cool stuff, but then understanding why math is important.
Yeah.
And so it's a really great exhibit that we have at the Science Center that we'll have through the end of the year. And we were trying to think of ways to get people to really experience it, because when you say, hey, come see our math exhibit,
Yeah.
and, you know,
Well, the chat room is saying, we have people in our chat
Yeah.
room right now saying, I'll quote, To the Extreme section was my favorite part.
awesome.
We had some people that went and did some costume partying
Oh
with
yeah,
you.
we had a Halloween party recently, and thank you to everyone that came out for that.
Yep.
That was a fundraiser for the Science Center, so we really do appreciate you
And
coming out.
some of our listeners got to actually use the simulators and
Okay.
things like that, and you're getting high marks, man. So that's good.
That is wonderful. I love this exhibit. It's a lot of fun. It's big. It's bold. It's colorful, and that science message runs through it in the best way, because people are learning while having fun. And we thought, what's the best way to really blow this up? And we're like, let's bring some of this exhibit to life, and that's how we got connected with the Zach at Skatebud.
Nice.
Every time someone says To the Extreme, I want to say, To the Extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal, light up the stage and you jump like a candle. Dance!
Yep. Marketing. Boom.
That's pretty good.
Anyway.
The dance was the best part. I don't even know if that's what's said there, but I mean, I think it is.
So let's talk, Zach. Let's talk about some of the physics behind skateboarding, because we all know it's kind of like, yeah, we know physics is involved, gravity is involved.
You don't
but we
think
don't
about
think about it when we're watching.
Friction is involved.
Yeah.
You don't think about like something like, I know as a kid, friction, well, you would either buy the expensive bearings and beg your dad for, when I was begging for bearings, I would not get the expensive ones. But that's all science, right? The friction, if your bearings are rolling your wheels better, then your skateboard goes faster and it's smoother and it feels better, right?
Yeah,
Or-
along with just the measurements of the equipment itself.
Yep.
That's such a fundamental. I think for me, coming back to skateboarding as an adult, I got hurt and couldn't skate for like 10 years. And then started skating again, and I was like, wait a second. This is way more complicated than I understood when I was a kid.
Right.
And the big realization that I came to that seems to get very controversial when I bring it up online is people often say an ollie is you jump and you pull the board up with you. But that's not what happens at all. You're actually bouncing the board off the ground and jumping in time with it and then pushing down against it to level it out. And when you say that online, it triggers something deep in people.
Yeah, no,
it's
100%.
always been I'm jumping. What the hell are you talking?
You're saying I'm not pulling the board up, and it makes sense when you think about it casually. But then,
Zach, tell me if you think this is true. I think what changed the respect level the world had for skateboarders is slow motion camera work. Because once you see what like someone does when they're doing like an impossible flip, or even a kick flip in slow motion, like HD slow motion, you're like, oh my God, this is super complicated. I can't believe this person. Because when you see...
Yeah, red cameras are your friends.
Because back in the day, like in the 90s and 80s, you see some grainy footage of someone doing a trick, you have no idea what it took to pull this trick off.
Well,
absolutely.
If you also think about it, you just touched on something that was even popular back in the day. What tricks back in the 80s would have signified dominance, right? slower tricks, like a hold, like a handstand, and you'd go and you'd stunt with your board on your feet, right? But the only way we're able to recognize it as humans is if it's slow enough for us to recognize it.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, those were the and then as things got quicker, I mean, obviously street skating exploded. You got kids using the city as their skate park.
Well, I
So-
think you're both right there that there's a few interesting things happening where video makes a huge impact on skateboarding, both in the effect that when you get to high speed video and people can actually see the nuance of what's going on, I think it certainly becomes more profound.
Yeah.
But before that, when you had YouTube exploding, skaters were some of the first people that really made YouTube good.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
that drove that. But before that, you go back and you think about the first wave of prosumer video equipment in the early 90s. Skaters are the ones that took that and made a global industry from like small businesses, right? You're talking about cottage industries are operating at a global scale.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you also have those skaters at the same time in the early 90s going out and exploring the city in a way that wasn't common. People didn't go out and be like, we're going to go get some content over in this unknown portion of the county with our friends. But skaters did, right?
Yeah.
And then they shared those videos. They went around the world. There was all this stuff happening that was so profound. And now that I think the perspective of skateboarding has just been enriched, right? It's all these different, and the Olympics, and people are seeing the effect that it has on maybe kids who come from difficult circumstances, right? And they might not be well served by traditional services. They really adapt to skateboarding in a productive way from a social services standpoint. So you get all these ways to see skateboarding and understand it that before it was just, it's bad kids like doing bad stuff, destroying property, right?
Let's talk about this because the 2025 parent in me, I've got two sons, right? I would love for my sons to get into something as hard as skateboarding because
it's like jujitsu. It's got that varying level to the degree you never master it, right? So you never master skateboarding.
So you show me an accomplished skateboarder. I'll show you a person who doesn't give up. I'll show you an insane, hardworking grinder that gets obsessed
I see what you did there.
with a goal and completing that goal, and they'll spend all day trying to complete this goal, grind it out over and over and over and over until they finally make it all for nothing, really, just for their own personal sense of accomplishment.
It's a trick for something called a trick.
I would love for my sons to have an ounce of that grit, and then wanting to do something based on your own sense of accomplishment and something and in the way we look, I'm sure now parents are like, man, I'd love for I was playing Roblox on their phone, like get out there, exercise, have like a goal to do,
Exactly.
Go do some math on the streets.
Back in 95.
That's exactly what it is.
Some dad in 95 were like, get a job. And I'm like, get a job. These people are working hard as hell. Like, I wish my sons worked this hard every day. And so I think that's a lot of it too. Like parents and people are looking at skateboarding for generally how hard it is, how much effort it takes to get good at, like in this.
You've always said, and one of the things that I like the most, and you touched on it, was the determination, the stick-to-itiveness, for lack of a better term. My mom always said that, but I like watching those videos where you see the guy who's trying to ollie the staircase and land it in a way, that is perfect and good and smooth, and you see 75 times him not
it'll be like
it.
day 4.
Yeah,
day 4.
Those
this kid's been going back here 4 days in a row.
But in a weird way, it's the same thing that scientists do when they're running the numbers 75 different times.
100%.
Day
Because
4, right?
human beings are about problem solving, right? And when we get into good loops of problem solving that give us good chemical rewards, we'll just go on forever.
Yeah.
And that's what skateboarding does. When you come to skateboarding at a younger age, as you're developing and looking at the world around you, at least this was my experience, and it holds true for millions of other people, it teaches you good processes for being dedicated, being self-actualized, not looking for an authority figure to tell you what to do next. If you complete a task, you say, was it done to my standards, or am I going to go back again and do it better?
Self-policing.
Right?
Yeah.
All of those things are inherent in skateboard culture. And I think at a time when the rest of society was more organized and structured and limited, and going into the home meant you were being closed off from outside influence, skateboarding kind of jived with society in a different way. But now, when you're talking about you go into the home and kids are being susceptible to all sorts of influence that is not productive, and they're now in a circumstance where you have to incentivize good behaviors that will lead to a productive, long, healthy life, right? Where you're battling with the phone. The phone is giving them chemical rewards so quick and so easy.
Oh, it's a main line.
they love
it's a
it.
main line, man.
Right?
Right into
And
the eyes,
skating can
right into the
compete.
brain. Yeah,
Skating competes with that.
Yeah.
It pushes back, and
Yeah.
it's like, actually, this is cooler than just getting lost in the phone. Go do something really cool that you can then put in the phone and share with other people who do the same thing, and they'll be like, hey, let's meet up and go to this place you never heard of.
Well, it's so much easier playing the video games, Zach. Though.
Yeah.
It's so hard to guys. Hot
I just want the
outside.
chemical.
It's hot outside. I have to. You're telling me I have to do this over and over, and I fall down sometimes. No,
It
not
is so much more rewarding though than the cheap.
Absolutely. And the
dump.
best tasting wines, what do they come from? Not like the richest, most rewarding soil. It's the most struggling grapevines that make the best tasting wines.
Preach it.
So okay, so now we can all agree that we would all kill all the parents out there listening for our kids to be skateboarders. So like, Zach, I'll pay you $5,000 if you can get my kids to get out of the house and
He's not
skate.
kidding.
I mean, be careful, bro.
He's
I will
not-
go
he's
to the
not
This is
bank.
what I do for work.
He's not kidding.
I will pay you cash. The government doesn't even have to be involved.
He does run a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So-
This could be an off-the-books donation to the nonprofit.
If you could force them to get out there and skate, I mean, anyway, so we all agree that we'd love for our kids to be involved, and let's talk about like the actual physics of like in this exhibit and your nonprofit, and like let's start with there. How'd you start the skate bud?
So, I have one of those, I'd say now it's a typical internet story where I had a tough childhood. My dad was a criminal defense attorney, brought a lot of violence into our household. My parents are addicts, and they didn't set the proper boundaries for me to grow up and have a safe childhood. And by the time I was 13, I was already very interested in committing crimes for fun, because that's what kids were doing down in South Florida in the early 90s.
I grew up in South Florida.
Yeah,
okay. So, yeah.
He was a South Florida crime kid too.
There you go.
I went to Killian. I grew up in Kendall.
All right.
You
I
know,
was a Deland hillbilly kid.
we probably passed each other doing crime.
Yeah, what if you guys? Oh my God!
Yeah,
what if you were doing crime on one side of the street and he's doing crime on the other side?
My
of the street?
dad died when I was 10 years old, so I just went to do crime because I was like, I'm on the Miami streets.
I
now.
grew up in a hillbilly Christian household, and my parents died early.
But so, and I'm sure that's a movie right there. Your criminal defense attorney dad has a son that's out there doing crime.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was just normal,
Yeah,
right? If you were down there and you were a young person and you weren't involved in something organized and you just didn't fit in,
yeah.
then what did you do?
Sure.
You go and you run around with your friends, and very early on you get in trouble for something, and then you associate trouble and fun, and then it's by the time you know it, you're hanging out with kids who are breaking into cars and stealing guns to sell at school,
100%.
right?
Oh
Like,
wow, you're advanced.
But-
mind.
I mean, this guy's just tooting a little bit behind a dumpster.
yeah.
This guy's having a cigarette.
Yeah,
you know?
they spray paint a little bit.
Yeah, I was just hanging out the science.
Yeah. We know what you're
I
Jeff.
can't
Jeff-
contribute here.
Yeah.
Jeff is totally.
I was in the suburbs and
Jeff
playing
was
at the science
motivated
center.
young man.
Yes, very
young
serious.
His parents,
So,
his parents. Jeff's
I-
like, stay away from those Miami
I
kids.
was- my whole view of skateboarding was Christian Slater and Gleaming the Clear. That's
yeah,
all
all
I
right,
had. That's
hey.
all I had.
the healthy side.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
So, like, growing up and then seeing, and then you're right, especially in the 90s, like, we saw there's a ton of
Cocaine cowboys.
Yeah, and disenfranchised youth
yeah.
that had nowhere to go and just hit the streets, and they're skating, and society's yelling at them, "You loser!" And meanwhile, you're like, "I'm doing something extremely hard every day and trying to
Yeah.
get better at it." And
It wasn't
exercising."
framed that way,
No,
though.
it was like, "Get a job, you loser, you're bum." And it's like these people are, again, going back to today's society, they go out there outside and do something hard over and over until it's amazing.
With no reward really,
Yeah,
aside
yeah.
from the chemical reward internally, the camaraderie with your friends.
You learn
it
how to
was-
film yourself and edit so you can film your skateboard. Like all these skills that you're learning, like, get a job. What the hell?
We learned
Society
how
was
to
mad at 'em.
navigate before we even had. There was no Google Maps. It would
Yeah.
be like, we want to get to a place, and you figure out how to drive there. So for me, getting access to a skateboard the first time just in my neighborhood, it was a way to have a level of personhood, and like I was just so
Independence. Yeah,
I was
man.
so infatuated with being able to get these magazines and learn ideas from people that weren't approved by anyone
We're
around
a
me.
Thrasher or a Trans World?
All of it. Thrasher, Trans World,
matter?
Big Brother.
Yeah.
I wanted, if there was skateboard media, I wanted to consume
That's how
it.
I was. Never, I had no allegiance to surfer or surfing or anything. I wanted all of them, man. Give me all the magazines.
You know how hard it was to learn how to video edit in the 90s? There was no, we had to
yeah.
read, like, there was no,
No,
like,
you'd have
the
to
library
figure it
didn't
out.
have it. You
Yeah,
have
you
to,
No.
2 VCRs together through your camera,
Jeff does.
one at a time.
Yeah, and you'd have to be
But that's
careful because
amazing.
one slip of the finger,
You
maybe you
start all
recorded, or you recorded over your
Yeah,
footage. I
very
remember.
true.
Pause
Yeah,
play.
like,
start all over.
it's amazing these kids learned how to video edit without any internet telling them, and they just figured it out over months, and they share
Problem
information.
solving.
Yeah,
Yeah,
problem
yeah,
solving.
yeah, yeah.
You're just, all right, I'll try it again.
I've never really thought about the parallels between modern day experiments and just learning a trick. You know, I've never thought about that.
Try it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And that's where, for me, that really resonated because I was already way overstimulated, should have been in therapy from a long time before that, was not, probably should have been on medication, all kinds of stuff. It was just like, yeah, pretend that's not happening.
Shout out to
Yeah,
therapy
yeah,
and
right.
medication right here.
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I later in life.
Well,
get
the parents in
exposed
the
to that
90s
stuff.
are like, don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's a
If you
secret.
talk about it, I'll lock you in the basement. I'm like,
Basically.
no, I won't ask, you don't tell. That's the 90s.
Yeah. So that was the first level. And then after that, when I got a license, there was a private indoor skate park that opened in a closed down Walgreens. It still had like the same linoleum floor. Everything is called South Florida Extreme in Pembroke Pines.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I went there and connected with kids from other parts of the county. And that was when it really shifted because even those kids in my neighborhood that I was skateboarding with, they were on a path of the similar, like getting in trouble, except that their parents had regular jobs. We're bringing regular people around the house, not murderers, not drug smugglers, not wild felons, you know, not the stuff that they were exposed to, their family secrets that like comes out in your bad behavior. I was on a path of like potentially killing someone or doing something outrageous because from a young age, I was exposed to stuff that, you know, we don't need to discuss the specifics of it here and now. It's like things that you see in movies, right? And to not have that kind of support from my peers where they're going home to parents who are like very, very privileged, right? And that's not to put it down, but it's like you have enough money to where the money can really help to create a home that's safe for your kids where you're not necessarily involved at such a granular level. And getting in touch with these kids from other parts of the county where their home, their relationship with their parents was much closer, where it's like, hey, I know if I don't keep you out of trouble, you're going to get in trouble because of the circumstances of the world around you.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Can I
well said.
complain about how good kids have it these days now? Because you could find your group of people so easily on the internet. Like back in the 90s, we were like, no one's like me. And you look out there like, oh, that's true. I'm lonely. because it was harder. You'd have to actually go and find someone. You'd have to go to the skate park and then realize like, oh, all these kids are like me.
I was the only skater at my school, right? And we were lucky to have adult skaters who were like, we're going to open this place that's going to bring people together. And it was only that time where it became meeting people from other parts of the county that really set off this level in me of like, because before I was obsessed with skateboarding, right? I was in a state of not understanding a lot of things, and then skateboarding opened my mind to a lot of other aspects of personhood, identity, society, relating to other people, making friends, moving through the world in different ways. And going to the skate park made that real, where it was like I felt like what I was seeing in the magazines and the videos, this lifestyle that people were living became my lifestyle. And it drove me to say, like, I was not the best kid in my neighborhood at skating by far. Like of the, you know, the locals in our scene, I was nowhere near being like, oh, like watch out for whatever Zach's gonna do, because if you have to go after him, then forget it. After that point where I started hanging out with these other kids and it shifted, all those kids that I had grown up skating with, I like blew past them, and whoever was the best, like whatever level they were at, it was like way beyond. I moved so far beyond it. And that was in part because I was putting myself around these people that were way better than any of those guys and going out and saying, this is what I'm doing all the time. I'm hanging out with these people who understand life in a way that makes sense to me. And we're all just encouraging each other to do the hardest thing we can possibly do. And each of us does it a little different. And I was lucky to have this amazing crew of dudes just from different parts of the county. And I had a car and I had a gas card from my dad because I was from a privileged part of the county. So I was like, where are we going? And we were just every weekend gone.
How interesting is it, Zach, that you are doing something that every parent would want their kid to do, which is surround themselves with other people that are better than you at something you want to get good at. So then they encourage you, you rise to their level.
It's kind of what Maisie does at dance.
It's everything.
Yeah.
It's what everybody wants for everybody. Like, it's like, it's a insane life lesson to learn that is so valuable. And you learn to skateboarding at a time where people weren't even looking at it like this. It's crazy.
And you know what's really shocking is that right now government really understands that, right? Because the things that government is being tasked to deliver, or institutions like the Science Center are being tasked to deliver, they're seeing that it's not me, right? Like, I didn't come up with that. That's skateboard culture. And when you're a part of skateboard culture, that's what happens to you. You get mentorship, you get guidance, you connect with people who aren't from your immediate circle, you connect with people who expand your idea of the world, you connect with ideas and things in this context, right? Where it's not just abstract in a book, this thing unto itself. It's these group of people you share a lifestyle with are sharing guidance and information. And that's so lacking in our society. It's such a fundamental aspect of skateboarding. And it's amazing to see the turn now, where I'll never forget the first time my wife's from LA. That's where we started our business. We got paid by the mayor's office to go out and do skate programming. And it's like, I'm setting up, we're putting up a banner, right? Like a big, like 12 by 8 for a photo backdrop. It's just graffiti on it that says skateboarding over and over and over again, right? And then it's like, we've got pro skaters that we paid to come out there, and then an assistant and a photographer, and the assistant is helping people who don't know how to skate. And we've got a bunch of product to give away that we bought from local small businesses, which are skate shops. And I was like, hold on, like, let's take a step back, because I remember being put up against police cars for doing way less than this. Right?
And sometimes just having a board makes you a suspect. I remember being downtown DeLand, and it was frowned upon. And I remember I just had it, and it's like, I hope you're not going to ride that on the sidewalk. And
already
like,
a focus of attention.
Yeah, I'm
right?
like, I don't even think I put it down.
Well, that, society, and we're all watching Clueless, and Who's the Losers? The kids with the skateboards.
That thanks a lot, Hollywood. You really made us look stupid.
Right? And by the way, these actors, I know they can't skate. Like, I can tell.
What was that kid's name? Brecken?
Yeah. Like,
Breckenmeyer.
Breckenmeyer. Yeah,
Yes.
Breckenmeyer can't skate.
Yes.
Well, maybe he could a little bit.
And then-
I don't know.
and
He
then
had skater hair.
Yeah, it's enough for one scene.
Yeah, he had skater hair.
And let's not be, ignorant. Like a few bad apples too. Like then people are like associate like, oh, well, this person has no respect and he's intentionally breaking the law or whatever, and then lumping all skateboarders into that, and it's ridiculous.
Oh,
but
that's one of my
media,
biggest pet peeves. Anytime you go and look, like this is not a challenge. Like this can be like a abstract form of entertainment. Go to any news site and look up skateboarder. Anytime someone commits a crime and they have a skateboard, oh, that's a skateboarder, right? Like, imagine if anytime someone committed a crime with a gun, oh, that's a gun rights enthusiast, right? Like, that's
it's marketing. Yeah.
Every time someone in a car like commits a crime, oh, this is an automobile enthusiast committing these crimes, right? Like, this is someone who races cars. Like, the assumption there that just because the person used a skateboard. I saw a headline the other week, a mom or a grandma and an 8-year-old walking through an intersection in New York, and the kid is on a skateboard, and the skateboard slips out from under him and hits a guy in the ankle. The guy turns around and slaps the woman and the kid in the face. The headline makes it sound like, oh, a skateboarder attacked someone.
Yeah,
right.
But that guy's got some balls.
Like,
slapping a parent in the mouth. I would never think of doing that.
I mean, that's a different level of, like, a kid's skateboard slips out and hits me in the ankle, and I slap the kid, I slap the mom. I'm like, that's what you get.
What is that? Oh, Sean Connery. It's like, goddamn.
Whopper Jr.
Yeah, but you're right. I think nowadays in 2025, like, a lot of that stigma's gone. And then all of us as parents, like anything to get the kids off the screens and get out there, do some exercise, learn some physics at the science center, surround themselves with positive people that want to make you better. And then it's like, it all goes into like anything can be done in a positive, healthy way that makes you a better person. And skateboarding, if for sure, is one of those things. And I would say on the top of a list of things you could do to make yourself a better person, because any skateboarder I know, I'm like, God, that guy's got grit and he is determined and he is like doing something physical all the time. You know, it's like there's so many benefits to it. Anyway.
When you look at the Venn diagram of personality traits that get cultivated by being involved in skateboarding, you know, it's creativity, dedication, self-policing, right? Like social bonding, like looking at the world in a different way. There's all these skills that I think people would want to have that skateboarding inherently teaches you not to understand at like an abstract way, but to really embody. And I think one of the things that I really liked about the exhibit is that it takes that and it describes it from the math side and from the science side. And it says, okay, here's how these different size components affect how the board works, right? And when you take a step back and you think about that, when you go to try skateboarding and you're going to decide whether or not it's for you, and are you going to get hooked in, and are you going to really wind up in these productive chemical loops of problem solving, it comes down to, do you have the right equipment?
Yeah.
Is the equipment going to function in the right way? Because if you're trying to do these very precise, nuanced motions that cause the board to react in a way that's super duper controlled, you can't be off by more than a fraction of a millimeter, right? You have to really understand it, and you don't necessarily get that when you come into it without the prompting of math. And the exhibit can be so great where it can just raise that level of awareness. And it's not that anyone needs another reason to be like, hey, math is actually an important subject to learn. Right. It's, you know, people can't really live very long being like, oh, I don't need math. You're not going to get very far.
I've tried that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that.
But even if your kid or yourself are not into skateboarding, this exhibit will give you a greater appreciation for skating, watching skating, like knowing the physics behind it, how difficult it is, learning about it. It will just give you, it'll make it more entertaining watching skating. You know what I'm saying? Like, because then you're like, oh, wow, it's harder than I thought.
I like what you're touching on, too, of like the aspect of going to the exhibit, taking it in, and then figuring out why certain equipment works certain ways, like the size of a wheel, the material being softer. Does that give me like for me, I would imagine I want big wheels and soft wheels on a big board, because that's going to make me go fast and straight and not going to rattle my knees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly.
And I like that idea of like, because one of the areas where I kind of blossomed as a musician is when I started getting into the physics and the actual science of how my drums sounded, you know, like how to tune them correctly, the tension, you know what I mean? Like
having control, right?
It unlocks a whole different world when you know why your board works, and then you can diagnose problems with your board. You can figure out, like you said, do you want to go faster? Well, you need to use these. If you want to go maybe slower, you want to use these. Maybe your board's not the right size. Maybe the pitch of the size of your board is wrong. I don't know.
Skating is a giant game of control, right? It's about having control over myself and control over the board in a way that I'm getting super focused and then giving myself a chemical reward. And when you have control over the information and you're able to understand how to get a different outcome, how to problem solve this scenario. And if you're going, oh man, I'm trying to learn this trick and I can't get it. I can't figure it out. And then you say, you know what? Maybe I'm going to try slightly wider board on slightly skinnier trucks. You know, there's all kinds of ways that you can configure the board. And that's maybe one of the ways that the freedom of skateboarding and the need for self-actualization backfires is there's no default skateboard. You can go into a shop and pick all the different components.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, skaters in an effort to not be prescriptive on other people can fail to provide good advice, right? It's not often that you'll go into a skate shop and get bad advice. It can happen, but a person who's running a skate shop is not necessarily going to be there to help you problem solve and troubleshoot all the ways that different components will interact to give you a different outcome, because It could just be that you need to switch your wheels to get that outcome, or maybe you need to switch your wheels and add risers, or maybe you need to switch your wheels and add risers and also get a board with a longer tail. There's, all these little things.
Skate scientist, man. I love this. Yeah. It's like, it actually is exciting. That unlocked a lot of stuff for me when I was skating. Like, I remember, because I'm 49. What unlocked for me is when the mini boards came out. Like, that, I had a Psycho Stick Mini. And it got stolen, but that board felt so much better. I'm a little guy. So this board, I was like, dude, this thing is so much more controllable than before that I had a big full-size gator board.
Yeah, they're shaped like a fish.
That's
how old this guy is.
Gator board, the one that was like, and said gator in the center, and it was big and ginormous, and I'm like little bitty guy. And when I got that little Psycho Stick, I was like, oh, this thing rules, man.
You're like, why are you shaping like a fish?
Well, it's that's the wheelbase, right? The amount of most people know, right? You look at the top of a skateboard and you can see the 8 bolts, 4 in the back and 4 in the front. That space in between is the wheelbase. And depending on how tall you are and how long your legs are, that affects how big your wheelbase should be. Because everything that you're doing is essentially within that space. And once you're going too far out of that space, you don't have the correct control, or if you can't effectively operate within that space to create the right leverage, the tricks won't work. And now for little kids, when they're starting, there's all kinds of different sizes and scales of boards, and there's all kinds of information on the internet that tells you, like, hey, if you're under this size, you want to have a board that's under this height. Like, we get the proper size boards from the company that we work with, Sidewalk Skateboard Distribution. They have a brand called Push, where it's all these different scales of boards for the smallest kids, right? Up to, like, okay, you're a teenager, but they have a whole brand now that's just dedicated to people being
What if you're like Shaquille O'Neal? Did they make a jumbo board?
Probably is hard to find.
No, and now that's the other thing too. So, like, Cordano Russell, a Canadian, he's from the Canadian skate team, Olympic team. He was working with Paul Schmidt, who's the Floridian who created the contemporary skateboard shape, engineered it, plus the manufacturing process. They worked together to make a stronger board for Cordano because he's like 6'5", 250 pounds. So he's breaking boards like
this guy's Dak Prescott. Jesus. Good God.
Skateboard LeBron.
Yeah, he's a big dude, So they figured out a way to make boards that are way stronger, where it's about I think it might be an 8-ply board. It could be a 7-ply board, but it was mostly about changing 2 or 3 of the plies within the board to where it's like, I think 2 of them are hemp or something. And it's like where they're placed and the angle of the grain. There's the level of engineering in the contemporary skateboard is like, we all thought it had been pushed to the max, but then this need for Cordano and his bigger body took it to an even crazier place.
There's a new one I don't even know if you know about, and I don't want to run out of time here, but in South Korea, I pulled the story to talk about for something science, but there is a South Korean scientist that has figured out, and they think skateboarding will be one of the first places this will be used. He's figured out how to treat wood and cellularly change it so it is over 100 times stronger than the actual wood.
No, really?
He treats it with chemicals, and it takes so it's still wood, but whatever chemicals he treats it with, it changes the cellular makeup of the wood into a much stronger, different bond, and it makes the wood, it looks exactly the same, but it makes the wood 100 times stronger. And in some cases, they said that this wood will rival steel in how strong it is. Which may not be good because maybe it doesn't flex. Maybe it doesn't vibrate.
And that's a big part of it. I know from a lot of stuff Paul has said. It's that it's not just that it's strong, it's the way it bends. Because a lot of what we expect from the contemporary skateboard is that springiness and the bounce, right? The ability to bounce off the ground.
You don't have that. It's like drumsticks when they started, not to go back to drumming, but these are like only 2 things I know. There's a company called ProMark. And they make drumsticks, and they started making these oak drumsticks, and they feel great. They're really heavy, but man, when you hit a rim shot with one of them, that thing is gonna rock your damn wrist. I mean, it hurts, because it doesn't have the flex of like a Vic Firth, of like a Hickory or something like that. It's a little too, to me, it sounds great, feels great, but man, when you hit a rim shot, it's not a pleasing feeling. It's not. And imagine your knees landed on this treated wood, but they thought maybe you could use this wood for like skateboarding or for like making wooden bicycles. I mean,
Paul would know. If anyone knows,
Yeah.
it'd be Paul.
That's cool.
So Zach, I got a question for you. So it just like obviously the internet and social media helps market skateboarding, right? But it also hurts it, I think.
Yeah.
And in a way that like kids are being exposed to the best tricks in the world and montages of them and tricks that it took someone, a decade to learn. And then we're just seeing it in a montage of 30 different times. It took like collectively hundreds of years for these people's lives to learn these. And then so when the kids start, and then there's hard to even
It's discouraging.
ride on the board. And then like Ollie, it takes so long that they get discouraged so fast because they're like, oh, I can't do this. This is impossible.
Yeah, how do you combat
Getting it out of context is certainly it's not productive, right? When you're experiencing skateboarding in the context of skateboard culture, that's productive. Not only because you have someone explaining to you, yeah, that person worked for years on that 2-minute video part, but also one of the things I've realized through our nonprofit is when people try to skateboard the first time and they do it on their own without other skaters around them, that's the people that get hurt. Because you're used to walking and using friction in a way to control yourself, and the skateboard takes all that friction away. It causes you to move instead of like front to back, side to side. So it's also a kind of muscular awareness that we don't engage in to move our bodies. So someone will go to stand on a skateboard and think that they're going to catch themselves when they start falling, and then they actually fall worse because it's not the predicted outcome with how they relate to friction. So there are so many downsides to getting exposed to the pinnacle of skateboarding without being somewhere in the context of a skateboarder that you can turn to for some insight. And I think that's what made it great, and it was automatic in the time when I found it. And that's one of the things that the industry struggles with, and I think skateboard communities are struggling with, skate shops are struggling with. People will go, they see it online and then they buy it on Amazon, and it didn't get to be this great thing because people were buying it in big box stores. It got to be this great thing because everyone who participated in it bought their first skateboard at a small business
the
that
human
was
element
owned by
made
a
it great.
skateboarder,
Yeah.
right? And I think we're it's not that we can't have that, and technology creates all kinds of productive ways to do that. It's just that in the skateboard industry, there's never been a technology impetus. And on the technology side, there's never been any kind of good alignment with skateboard culture. And that's one of the things that I work hardest on through our work with government is to just say, if anyone can correct this, it's government, it's institutions like the Science Center. When we're at this moment where skateboarding is being brought in and people are seeing it at a huge scale, if we keep it accurate to the cultural standards, we'll continue to get the benefits that we've got, right? But what I tell people is everyone used to enter through the skate shop. Now they enter through Amazon, right? But they enter through Amazon and the skate park. So then it's like, how do skateboarders start to interface more with the government so that we're not in charge of the programming at the skate park, but we're kind of the authority over what that programming should look like and feel like.
Well, it still surprises me nowadays. Anytime I see the government build like a public skate park, I'm like, what? It blows my mind because I grew up in the 90s, like skating in the 90s.
That was not a thing. We didn't have any. Behind
we
the
were the enemy.
Behind the Winn-Dixie is all we had.
If you'd have told me in '95 in Miami, like one day the government will be building skate parks for you guys, I'm like, no way.
Right.
No way.
I still remember going over to a buddy of ours. He had a ramp in his backyard, and we went over there, and he wasn't home, and we hopped the fence to skate it. And,
anytime the parents
the
were
neighbors
cool,
called the cops.
They came home, and that kid, he was gonna get me good, man. We got out of there so fast.
Okay.
When the dad,
it was like I don't skate enough. I don't skate fast enough to get away from this kid. I'm gonna have to hold my board and run for it.
We grew up like the dad building the half pipe for their son.
That was
didn't
King
exist.
Dad. That was King Dad.
But
That's King Dad.
every once in a while, you get some anomaly. Be like, "What? Your dad built you a half pipe?"
No, that was this kid.
Right.
You be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe he even let you skate."
Right. You know why it was though? It was kind of what you're saying. It was because Dad skated.
Yeah.
Or,
Right, yeah.
or dad surfed. It had to be adjacent. You weren't going to get just rando business dads going, I'm going to build you a skate park.
You grew up,
that ain't going to happen.
okay, you grew up in Miami. We used to go out to 3 lakes, and they'd built a half pipe in the woods, and it would be in a dangerous.
Yes, that was the thing.
Like,
Put a tarp on it.
Building a half pipe in the woods, and then you'd skate on it, and it would be all like splinter
it's a
crazy.
mess.
Like it's just open to the elements, but that's where you'd have to go to the woods to skate.
I feel like every community had some mythic half pipe.
Yes, in the woods.
Right? Because that's the only place that it could go.
Yeah.
It's either that or at the house of a kid whose parents skate or whose parents were that cool that they were like, hey, we love you and you're our kid and you love this thing, so we're going to encourage it. It was like, that was not...
How ridiculous is that we're in the 90s, we're like, what? Your parents love you.
But now it's so easy.
That's crazy.
Now you can take your kids to the science center.
Yes,
Yeah,
right,
I know.
You know,
exactly.
the easiest thing you can do.
And that's the cool part about being at the Science Center, because we can show the science and everything, and we are so psyched to work with Zach and Galactic G. So we want everyone to come out this Saturday, November 1st, so you can meet Zach, some skaters from Galactic G.
Galactic G's been doing it in our city for a very long time.
longest
29 years.
Big
longest
love
running
to
skate
Galactic
shop
G.
in Florida.
I've bought shoes from there because I don't skate anymore. But let's just say, yeah, those guys are doing it right.
And
They-
not only that, rest in peace to Ken, the owner. He
Yep.
just passed away.
Yep.
He made Galactic G into a place that embodied that idea of skate culture. Of
100%.
we're mentoring young people. We're making it welcoming and accepting. Like, oh, people are going to say you're a bad person. You're a POS. You come over here and we treat you like a good person until you give us reason to believe otherwise.
True.
Like, and that's what's so great about skateboard culture when it is embodied by someone who runs a small business like Ken, when that becomes your skateboard experience. And that's why I feel so fortunate to be able to go out to the Science Center, and they're not just like, hey, some rando person pop in, right? They're putting on this exhibit that's going to bring people out to have an interaction with skateboarding, and Galactic G is a part of that, right? Like,
That's awesome.
the people that you're going to see skateboarding out front, they're not just whatever skaters. They're people who are involved in making this skate community what it is.
That's
here
like
in
our
town.
community skate shop, I feel like.
Absolutely.
You know, like,
100%.
Yeah, that's his neighborhood as it gets. And working with OSC, I mean, that's pretty awesome. man.
Well, again, To the Extreme, it's an exhibit open.
I almost did it. I almost did it again.
November 1st, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Become a member of the Science Center.
Yeah.
And
You learn about things before other people. You know, you get discounts when special things arise, and you're going to need it. One day you're going to have nothing to do, and you're going to want to pop by the Science Center.
Yeah, and check out
Man,
skate.
if you got a kid and you're not going to the Science Center, you're messing up.
Yeah, no,
we've
I've
been
been taking
saying
my
this for
sons
years for
since they were born. I've been taking my sons to the Science Center.
Because
They love it.
listen, I normally, right, like, you got to do the activity and the food. But every time I'm like, all right, that's all in one. I can go down to 4 Roots, and it's going to be a nutritious, balanced meal. I don't have to say, oh, I'm going to eat something that then I'm going to later be like, all right, I got to just go to sleep.
The cafe at the bottom of the Science Center is really good.
We never.
Yeah.
Like,
we
it's
should
all-
touch on that more.
Yeah,
Jeff. I'm
we
sorry.
probably should. Yeah. John Rivers from Four Rivers opened the Four Roots Cafe down in the first floor of the Science Center. That is fed through his Four Roots Foundation and his Four Roots Farm campus. Everything is really farm to table. Some great
High quality.
high quality
Yeah.
sandwiches,
Nutritious, good
wraps,
tasting.
bowls, good stuff. And so come down Saturday, November 1st, make a day of it, meet Zach, see these awesome skaters from Galactic G. We're going to have some cool activities with fingerboards that you can play.
I love
You can
fingerboards.
build your own cardboard skate park. Check out To the Extreme, the exhibit. It's going to be a really awesome day this coming Saturday,
Love it.
November 1st.
Awesome. OSC.org. Just become a member. That's the easiest.
Yeah, we
Zach,
just-
thanks so much
Hey,
for
pleasure
coming.
meeting you. Thank you
you
so
for
much for
having
you
me.
gave us some stickers and some like some skateboard book. Thank you so much, man. Pleasure meeting you.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Anytime, man.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it, and we will see you.